This is the first guy who quit in buds.
Oh, right.
Not
okay.
the first quitter I ever saw, because there were people who, there's actually some people, there was a guy, before we ever made it to buds, in pre-buds, which is kind of like, it was like training camp before actual, like the real deal. It's not even, this is like, you know, just the warm-up version of buds. It's not really as hard as buds. It's just like a little, we're just going to dabble, right?
Yeah.
Dip our toe in the water. There was a guy in my class who quit in pre-buds who was one of the top athletes in our class. Ever, like the instructors, all of the students were like, what?
Is that they don't have a bell there, do they?
No, you can actually quit in pre-buds, but it's not like, it's not the thing that like it is in buds.
Well, yeah, they're not trying to. So everybody was like, "Wait, no, that's not yet." Like,
yeah,
you're
and
early.
now that you think about it, because I remember he quit on when we were at the pool. It was like, hey, this is kind of what it's going to be like when you come do pool days in buds, and it was not near as hard as what the actual pool day was. And now that you say that, I don't remember us having the bell there.
Right.
For him, like he quit and everyone, but that's not the story I was going to tell. There was a guy in my class. He was the first one to quit in buds, because if you quit when you get to first phase, right, when buds officially starts, and buds is basic underwater demolitions, when you get to this part, you get these green helmets, right? And I have all these helmets in my my office. If you ever do a Zoom with me, you'll see them in my office background. And the reason I have those helmets is because I didn't quit.
Right.
If you quit, right, and if first phase is a green helmet, second phase is a blue helmet, third phase is a red helmet. If you quit, you lay your helmet on the grinder.
Yeah.
Right. And so the first helmet goes right below the bell. And by the end of first phase, there is a long stack of helmets, you know, starting with, you started a class with 160 students. And by the end of first phase, you've whittled it down to, you know, sometimes 50 students or 45 students. And so there's a long stack of helmets, and all those helmets have names.
Is it 6 weeks first phase or
8
8
weeks?
First
phase is 8 weeks. And that's where the majority of the helmets,
right.
You know, if you make it past Hell Week, there's a good chance you're going to actually become a SEAL. So in that short amount of time, a lot of these helmets stack up. And, well, every time you're on the grinder, you can look over there and see the names, because everyone's name is on their helmet. And you can see the names, and it's like this person quit, and then this person quit, and then this person quit. So that, like it kind of matters when people quit, and it's pretty significant. Like when people finally start dropping out of your class, like now I'm really in this final training zone to become a Navy SEAL, and people are quitting. And this is not really my proudest moment, but before we started first phase, one of the officers in my class was like, you know, running a bookie on being a bookie on who's going to quit. And there were bets on who was going to be the first to quit.
Did anyone put money on you?
I don't think so. I don't think anybody, it was about first to quit.
Right.
I don't think, you know, the guy who was my roommate, if you know my story,
yes,
might have tried to put a bet on me, but I don't remember hearing that there was. That doesn't mean there wasn't. But anyways, I hadn't placed a bet. I hadn't planned on participating. But then the night before, this one guy in my class comes to me and he's like, man, I've been thinking about quitting. And I was like, yo, what's the deal, man? Like, you've been this has been easy for you. And he just started talking to me about, he's like, do you know what they're going to do to us tomorrow? Right. And he was just like telling me the story of how bad it's going to be. And, you know, who knows how long we'll be on the grinder. Like, and I just, you know, sealed my lips and just listened to him for a minute. Cause I could feel his fear just like taking his story away like a kite in high winds. Like, he's just gone. I'm just going to sit here and listen and watch what happens. And, I was basically like, hey man, you know, don't quit. But like, that was all I had to say, because I knew he was going to quit. So he didn't tell me I'm going to walk out there and quit tomorrow, but he basically told me like, I'm going to walk out there and quit tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you know, I was hoping, this is kind of sad, I was hoping he would be first, and he was. Because right after he told me that, I walked down to the officer's room on the first floor, and I was like, hey, can I still place a bet?
They're like, wow, Uncle Buck making a late entry. What is this down to? Oh, and he won.
Well, there was no regulatory body on that betting.
I can't believe you guys weren't regulated. You know, like an officer bookie in the SEAL teams. Okay, so you won the bet.
I did win the bet.
So let me ask you a question, and we didn't talk about this beforehand. Was his story way worse than what it actually was? Because you always say the anticipation of pain is worse than the pain itself.
Well, what he was describing was true, but it's perspective, right? It was his perspective on it. And it was like he was actually a really tough guy. Like,
and he was an athlete, it sounds like, from what you said.
He was, you know, most of the stuff wasn't that hard for him. Like the runs and swims hadn't been a big deal for him. So I was actually kind of surprised. And I hadn't seen him like really struggle or suffer with anything, but he just made it so big in his mind. And it was the anticipation of it. And just the way he was talking to me, like I would never have picked him to quit first. But then when he came and talked to me about how he was feeling, I was like, I think he's going to quit. I didn't know he would quit first. I was still making a wager.
Well, yeah.
But like, I mean, he was like, we ran onto the grinder, and everyone runs and stands in these fins, like think like swim fins that are painted on the grinder, and that's where you stand on that.
You showed me that. It says
and
Legacy,
so everyone,
right?
you run in, you scream your class number, all that, and you stand there, and the instructors talk for just a second, and then the PT begins. As soon as they like moved us into the first physical thing, he ran right to the bell. Like he had already decided.
Wow.
Right. He didn't even like wait for it to get hard. He had just already decided, I'm going to quit. He just, waited for the action to start.
Did the instructors just go nuts when he did?
They just started cheering. Like they started hooping and hollering like, yes, we already got our first one.
Yeah. Because that's got to be quick for them. They're like, man, we didn't even do anything
No,
yet.
that on day one, that is their job. Like how many bell rings can we get?